Thanks
Sorry.
Hey, Dan, do you
Yes, I do.
remember whether I've ever done the superhero song here? It's the song about like what Batman taught me, Superman
Yes,
taught me.
yeah, yes.
That one.
Oh, that's George Lister. Go away, everybody. Get the fuck out of that. I like a Gershwin too. I like that song.
You know that's the only song I know all the lyrics to.
Yeah, it should be going. Pardon my French.
Test. Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Who's the keynote?
Yes.
Owen, you're the keynote. You ready? Okay. And we got a bunch of, she's not here, but will be. Alan, of course, you're here. Katie is over there. She's here.
Katie's the main
And
feature.
Rob, of course, you know you're the second kicker off of
The last word.
last word, yes.
So Rob's the last word. Katie's the mini feature.
Yeah.
Owen's the keynote.
Yeah.
Who's the feature? You'll I guess you'll talk about the feature.
Avacha is the future. He is also the future.
He's the future of the feature.
The future of the feature. Future.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wow, how about that? Chips as well. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so is this? That's not too many. It's all right. Okay, we'll get started. All right. All right. So I guess why don't you just launch right into it, ladies and gentlemen? Launching right into it now. Mr. Alan Harris is going to give us the introductory featuring commentaries. All right, there we go. Give him a round of applause. Come on, people. The only thing you see on there is him, and they don't hear the background going like this. I was like, what the hell's going on around here? At least they have Alan Harris.
Sacred's checklist.
Thank you.
Clock plus 8 minutes. That's what it says.
I know.
Ahem.
Thank you.
Hear ye, hear ye. Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dan Brady as the current host of this, the longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe, serving up good food and fine poetry since 1572.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, 1972.
1845.
Please support this reading by
Good year
enjoying
for
the
bar
food
scotch.
and drink served here. And let's have a big hand for Teddy and Fiona, our hosts. That's a big hand. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome, but we do ask you to respect the mic. Keep conversations to a whisper.
Thank you.
Put phones on mute or vibrate. I recommend vibrate.
Yeah.
And do not distract the speakers or pass in front of them. Also, keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change.
Yeah.
Remember, we've 2 shows, the 7-ish and the 8:40-ish, so I ask for generosity. By going short, it helps get everyone on the mic. Short jokes? Anyone? No? Okay. If you want to be in the loop, we've an opt-in email list, a Facebook page, and we stream live.
Thanks to Mr.
This
Natural.
is the 21st century.
Dang it.
So thanks to Mr. Natural.
Thanks to Mr. Natural.
How ironic that a person named Mr. Natural is so tech savvy. Am I wrong?
Irony.
People? Hello, is this on? Okay.
We're not
Oh.
listening to you.
What is
Okay.
the opposite of irony? Wrinkly.
So you can view in from home. I'm not supposed to read this part. Remember the ongoing theme. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead, who I think had some dark things in her closet. The evening's theme is
The evening's thing is Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope,
Thanks to Jacob.
which is a great song by the Rain Parade.
Oh, I love that song.
Also, next week's feature. Next week's feature?
Yes, next week's
Will
feature,
be.
This will be a special event featuring Tommy Abercrombie, Greg Pond, and NIQ, talking about the Stonewall riot and things like that. Bring it home.
Two excellent people, a great subject.
Three excellent.
Three. I'm sorry, I missed.
Ed.
Who? Ed and Tommy and who?
And Greg.
Greg Pond.
Oh, Greg Pond. I'm sorry. Whoa. Boy, there's some quality right there. So and I'm not even being glib when I say that, even though I sound like I am. Okay. So now, as to the first show, the keynote will be the great Owen Dunkel. While our feature is I'm sorry. Avacha.
Who's not here yet?
Who's not here yet? Who when she is here will give the Queen's wave.
Yes.
Or I could do it now.
Yes.
As to the second show, the last word will be Rob. WROB FM.
Yes.
And the mini feature is Katie. Is that right?
Katie.
Who looks very relaxed with a beer. And we have fabulous door prizes. We have a bunch of books. I don't see any doors. I don't know what that means.
So can I do them now? Can I introduce?
Well, can I just read the last part?
Yeah, go ahead. Read the last one. I'll introduce the book.
Be advised, although we record the evening, if an audience member wishes to do so, please ask permission. We will assume you've done so.
Should we?
And we can be brutal. All right.
All right, so the door prizes, there's a lot of them here, so I'm just going to go very quickly. This is not my dinner with Andre, but you know what I mean. The Civil War poems, Walt Whitman, in case you want to know more about that. Waiting for Godot. And the little anthology that we produced a while back, a copy of that. There is John Nichols, The Wizard of Loneliness. I don't know anything about him. A Cherokee Feast of Days. Huh?
It's a good book.
It's a good book. Okay.
Milagro Beanfield Wars.
All right, there we go. Southern Poverty Law. What do you call it? Interview. Center. I get their stuff every time I read it, and then I pass it on. This is a bunch of haiku that I printed out of mine because I was doing something, and I'm done with that, but I didn't want to just throw them in the trash. Defenders of Wildlife, you donate to things, they send you calendars, that's a calendar. And then this is the open mic poetry calendar that I know of. And if those don't float your boat, like I like to say, there's Choosing Next Week's Theme, being the mini feature with Katie is doing today. Keynote, which today is Owen, the last word, which is Rob, and the co-pilot, which is the honorable individual who's sitting to my right, Mr. Britt Peter. Thank you. I almost got it. There's Brett's there. Brett. All right. So, Owen, why don't you come on up here and get us started and give him a round as he does so and get this evening under the way. There we go.
Order.
Fries.
Okay. For my keynote poem, I'll read a Viennot by Ezra Pound, Ballad of the Gibbet. Drink ye a skull for the gallows tree, Francois and Margot and thee and me. Drink we the comrades merrily, they set us, till then for the gallows tree. Fat Pierre with the book, Gauchemont, Thomas Laron, ere the loss, Tybalt and that Amoress, who gave this Floyd Guard its premier stain, pinning the guys that had been feigned to make him a mate of the halt noblesse, and bade her be out with ill address, as they full at mock us his Drew's disdain. Think me a skull for the gallows tree, Francois and Margot, and thee and me. Drink ye for Mariani Dole, that Dole bring not he her air cruelly. Drink with the lusting robbers twain, black as a pitch of their wedding dress. Lips shrunk back for the wind's caress. As lips shrink back, we feel the strain of love that loveth in hell's disdain. And think the teeth, and sense the teeth through the lips that press against our lips for the soul's distress. that striveth to ours across the pane. Drink we a skull to the gallows tree, Francois and Margot and thee and me, for Jehan and Roald de Valerie, whose frames have the night and the wind in free, Mathurin, Galame, Jacques Dalemain, Gallo lacking a coat to bless, our lean anxiety of his nakedness, the plundered St. Hubert back of the frame, and unless the lean bear tree is widowed again, for Michel de Bourgois, the would confess of faith and truth to a traitoress, which of his brothers had he slain? But drink we a skull to the gallows tree, Francois and Margot and thee and me. These that we love shall God love less, and smite always their foibleness. Skull to the gallows, and then pray ye, God damn this hell out speedily, and bring their souls to his hot city. Thank you very much.
I'm handing him the contribution sheet so he can give me the poet and the poem. Oh, Helen. Helen, you're up. Dan, this is not your first time, right? This is your first time, ladies and gentlemen! Woo!
They don't fight. Well, actually, he fights.
You know what? Next time I'm going to disguise myself because that was so much fun. So I won't want you to know that it's really me again. Okay.
All right.
Revisit. We were friends years ago. We were young, involved in the same thing, active, able to leap buildings in a single bound, able now to traverse a small puddle in a carefully orchestrated non-leap. We met up at a friend's birthday party. We congratulate each other on all visible signs of survival. I check on her propensities for secret keeping or gossip, so I will know what to reveal. Secrets, I say, not even my plants will be told, no matter how much they beg me to reveal. We are comfortable, though years of our lives have gone by since we spoke. She paired, me alone. Go on now, even however ever, she alone now too. Documentary. Sort through your drawer of memories like socks. Match up the ones that go together. See which need repair, possibly discard some. Invigorate the ones related to day, the ones that slip away as you enter a room, escaping like slippery lizards before you can catch their toes in the ridge of your brain. Some memories come up from the fog. Oh, I didn't know this was here, like finding the last coffee candy in a bag. Lately, few cause the heart to lift. Lately, dismay, pain rise up, maybe like a color that is not attractive, maybe. Allow it to thin like mist and poof away. Teach our memories to serve us, tweak them here and there for meditation, calm, ease, understanding. Can our memories be tamed? What is a documentary but memory assembled to be known and remembered so its happenings don't dissolve out of this world? Human endeavors are ethereal. While we live, we feel substantial. When we are gone, we exist in the memory of others, their documentary, until that too is gone.
I want to move the microphone this way because that way the film will just be you.
Okay.
There you go.
This is the last one I'm going to read. It's called Mother's Day, and I wrote it around Mother's Day, and I like reading it in different places because then I feel like I can honor my mother.
Good.
Can I go back and tell you now how much I love the memory of your cooking? The hamburgers, no rolls. And I did wish to be really American and have rolls. The breaded veal cutlets with the bone, the wonderful meat roasted on Sunday that I could cut with a fork, and chicken in the kishka, and how I loved kasha varnishkas. The beige pot with green trim that you used to make gefilte fish. Did you forgive me when I used it to dye a set of yellow leotards and tights black? It was the biggest pot we had. Potato nick, that's what we called it. Others called it kugel. Grated by hand before electric gadgets. So delicious. And your famous latkes, I never watched you make them. How I wish I could have it all now. Then, as my sister and me became teens and knew everything as it should be, we arrogantly wanted to help you expand your repertoire. We were bored, so we bought you a cookbook. I try to remember. We were young and didn't think it all through, only intent on helping ourselves and smugly thinking we were helping you. Every other recipe in the book contained pork, which somehow we did not notice. I don't remember where we bought the book or if we looked through it, and we knew that our house was kosher. It was a basic in our lives. No pork had ever been in. Having a Martian visit would have been a more probable occurrence. My cheeks still get hot with embarrassment when I think of our gift, and I want to ask, from the current wish to eat your cooking, please forgive your two unwittingly silly daughters. What stands out now is the wish to taste those 5 or 6 dishes you made. How wonderful it would be. Would I feel wrapped in your love and care? Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. Bob Gordon, then we got George, Owen coming back, Britt, Tommy, Brett, Martin, for God's sakes, not that Martin. And then the free radical. And then the cursive writer before our feature, Bob. Give Bob a nice round as he comes up here and gets himself organized.
Here, let me help.
Yeah, it should go up a little higher. There you go.
I was reminded that I didn't bring a poem today, but I'm going to describe what the poem described, which is that the birds have a hierarchy of protection: eagles, hawks, ravens, pigeons, and so on. The only bird that is not in the hierarchy of protection is the sparrow, and they fly freely amongst the whole hierarchy. And that poem described that phenomenon, but I don't have the poems. So what I do have, this was written, the poem was written after what is a legal proposition I'd like to read, but I'll read the poem first. Why is that way? Reality and illusion, better, can be, best. That's the moment. This is a political proposition which I'm going to show to my niece because she's a lawyer, and I want to see if it's viable. I haven't asked her yet. It's called, it says, premise in parentheses, question mark. In San Francisco, the right to appeal a court decision becomes the legal question once a decision has been made as to the possible guilt of a defendant. 1. The method system of proposition presupposes that a law will be instituted whenever or at such time as no citizen disagrees with its legality. 2. According to the federal Constitution, no law may be passed that changes the status of a charge of crime made previous to the institution of that law. 3. The hierarchy of courts has been made by federal Constitution such that all court procedures are subject to the authority of the federal court. Therefore, the state crime to be brought before the court remains only to be that of denial to a defendant of his right to appeal. once indicted, forever guilty. That's the premise. That is, the removal of citizens' rights as if forever incarcerated and awaiting trial. What is ultimately brought under question in this procedure is one's inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
All right, George, then Owen, Britt, Tommy, Brett, Martin, and Alistair McLeod. Oh, yeah.
I was number 2.
Oh my
Okay.
God, you're next. Sorry.
That's okay, like whatever.
Sorry about that. I confused myself.
Okay. Everybody remembers?
Yeah.
This week, welcome to New York. My job in New
Oh,
York.
yes,
first
yes,
job,
yes.
First day of work, leaving Joe's apartment. Joe hated me. Couldn't wait for me to leave.
Yeah.
Out the door, down the elevator, east on 96th Street to the subway, the IRT local at 96 and Lexington. Everything was hot, the air steamy, the streets soft and gooey. New York is a symphony of odors, and as I headed down the steps to the subway, I was slapped by what smelled like an oven that had fried the juice that slopped out of the pan. And it was crowded. At rush hour, everybody squeezed into their own tiny space on the platform, preparing to do whatever was needed to get on the next train. The veterans knew where to stand and would be in front of a door when the train stopped. I knew no such thing. I found a tiny opening, which I discovered was between two cars, as far away from the door as possible. The doors opened, the mobs flooded out, and the people on the station, who positioned themselves well, squeezed in, pushing and shoving, until there was no space for another body. Oops. From where I was, in the worst place possible, there was no way I was getting on. Waiting for the next train, I lit a cigarette. Heads turned, eyes glared, no one spoke. By the time it traveled through my fingers to my brain that smoking on the subway platform was illegal, I got nailed by a New York City transit cop. He said, "No smoking on the platform." I asked, "Where are the signs?" He didn't reply and gave me a ticket, which at the time was $5. I managed to get on the second train with my back squashed against the door. I hoped there wouldn't be an emergency where the doors would spring open and I'd be deposited in the tunnel. I pictured rats, and confirmation came a few days later when I saw two of them running around under the platform. The train pulled away from the 96th Street station and stopped before my car got to the end of the platform. As crowded as it was, nobody made eye contact. I didn't think that was possible. The only ventilation came from a clanking overhead fan blowing down hot, smelly air. And as hard as this was to believe, lots of folks were reading. The favorite was the New York Times, folded again and again, so just those few words in the one column were visible. In this way, the reader could turn the paper, which was now about an eighth of its normal width, and read without jamming pages into his neighbor's face. It took me a while to learn how to do this. The first time I tried, the middle section of the paper dropped to the floor, where it was crumpled by the person squeezed next to me. I was afraid if I leaned down to get it, the crowd would take over my space, and I wouldn't be able to get back up. The next stop was 86th Street, and I needed to make a decision. As I was headed to Grand Central Station at 42nd Street, I could transfer to the express train, or I could stay on the local and hope the crowds thinned. Turns out I had no choice. As soon as the train stopped and the doors opened, I was swept onto the platform. Trying to get back on was like trying to break through waves during a storm. The decision had been made for me. I was taking the express. Within weeks, I became a subway veteran. I grabbed my space on the platform, squeezed into the car, read the folded times, made no eye contact, and was relieved when there was no hot, miserable delay. One rainy day, a large subway-indoctrinated woman tried to cut me out and squeeze her way into the open door. I tightened my right arm and shoulder and shoved her out of the way and into the side of the train. I felt quite good about it, until she hit me in the back of the head with her umbrella.
I survived a month or so until my apartment was due to be ready. The day of the move was the day Joe changed the locks. The unfriendly doorman who had ratted me out said I could get a working key temporarily from Joe's daughter, who lived nearby on 88th Street. Make sure you get it back when you're done. He seemed to be growing puffier as he spoke. While I was getting my stuff out of this hellhole, a taxi ran into the back of my car, which I had parked in front of the building. That same doorman buzzed up to tell me a cab just nailed your car. The rear was smashed, but I could still drive to Philadelphia, where I dumped the car on my father and spent the next few days organizing my move. The plan was to pack my stuff into a trailer, hook it to the back of my friend Ron Cohen's car, and return to my new life in New York City. I called the agent to be sure the place would be ready by the weekend. To be continued.
All right. Thank you, George. I love the subway detail. That's just like,
That's the way it works.
yeah. Okay, Pablo. Yes, I made a mistake there. So then Owen's coming back, and then we got Brett, Tommy, Brett, Martin, myself, and then the curse of writer. Okay.
Well, I called him, actually, so just left a
There we
message.
go. Let me just get this going here. You're
Gotta
on.
put in a plug in for the hot pastrami sandwiches here. They're really good.
All right.
So, anyway, this is called Understand This. Okay. First of all, you must understand this. The man before you is not the same. He knows now. And in that knowledge, he is hopeful. This man, altered, an alien resident without citizenry, an exile, a mark, beaten by blunt xenophobic objects, allegiance upon his lips memorized by heart, though unable to utter a single coherent expression without an interpreter. Left hand on the Constitution, right hand on the Bible, dog-eared and furled. A scholarly translation having the very name of God written in it over 7,000 times. Shunned by society, by the tormentors in it, the propagandists who think him strange and absurd, an oddity, a risk. These threaten deportation for the very sight of him makes them feel ill, uncomfortable, and in want. Wanting to tie a millstone around his neck and pitch him into the sea. But he knows now that he loves this country in which he dwells, the lay of the land, her undulations, her nightfall, those bright, distant apertures that glow in the dark. He has fallen in love especially with her waters, with her sweet vegetation, her seasons of refreshing, her tranquility, her sunsets by the sea. Native tongues and dialects he cannot speak, ignorant of unusual customs, he cannot fathom the nuances, the complex rules of engagement, the differential between misdemeanor and felony, or the thin line between foul and fraud. Thus he stands accused. See, the muted fool. But within his heart he has come to call this place home. Furthermore, he knows he has no place else to go. The land of his birthplace brought to ruin, devastated by the great obliteration of 2017, the hurricanes, the Cat 5s. Wanting to forget his giving in to despair, his acquiescence, his dilapidated wrath, adrift when all was lost, then to wash upon the shores of the Colossus, the mother of exiles, emboldened by her siren cry, by her declaration to the wretched refuge the tempest tossed, give to me, you're tired, you're poor, your huddled masses yearning to break free. And so, upon her freedoms, He thus breathed deeply. And these are the freedoms that resuscitated him. Freedom from hunger, from poverty and strife. Freedom from danger. Freedom from the burden, his survivor's guilt. Freedom from the bereavement, his inconsolable mourning. Freedom from the actuaries, those who counted him out. Consequently, he knows her now, or has come to know her, her ideals. In perpetuity, he has placed his trust in her, hopeful to be claimed as one of her own, despite his tattered appearance, his fallen countenance, his ignorance, despite the hate-mongers who hate what they do not know and cannot understand, who judge and prejudge with impunity and duplicity. He knows their crafty acts. Even as he languishes in silence, he knows such evil machinations press in upon him. Yet, his transcendent knowledge tells him that this is where he belongs. Nevertheless, and so he prays. He prays never to know expulsion again, or never another Cat 5, or the pain of acquiescence, the giving in to despair, or the weight of the millstone, nor the bottom of the sea. Thank you.
Oh, wow. All right. So Owen is coming back for his open. The person who does the keynote always comes back for the open. So. And then we have Britt. Give him a round. Britt, don't come with Brett.
All right. Oh, okay. The agony of sleeping with butterflies. I am fucking with hornets who help themselves to their happiness. Shards of lyres help save poets. I am a mad soul searching the earth for stray blossoms of sunlight in the black hole of the hemisphere. This poem is groping to find itself, searching for the innocence of poets' lines. Their best lines are to be found when the sky is sleeping. Sometimes the moon wears velvet and makes love. Sometimes the sun hisses and kisses the sea itself. When we understand people, we pray that they are not as good as we are. I am, but not really. Lines have left me. I sometimes talk to the dust. Sand. The solemn, salty thunder of the wan waves make an impact on the shore. The shorebirds, like sandpipers and seagulls, a cross between sandpipers and seagulls, as if sandpipers and seagulls had mated with the sparrow-like birds waiting along the edge of the shore. I cross the great highway. The way the air is cold with air. The air is from the air, the great Lord wind. The air has appeared from nowhere. A dark sun. Bid the birds of Sunday a chaste farewell. There is no crying anymore. Life is a busy, bossy Trieste. Thorough thoughts living to the quiet day, hoping to someday be comic cliché. An entity, a poem-like prose. Accord the views of the weather, trees calm for a change, instead of windswept, angry at my changing moods. Authority is like an inscrutable oak, much like big business. Sometimes I wonder whether it is objective at all, or merely self-satisfied and sure of the fact we are helpless and dull. We are trapped. Of course I am helpless and dull, stuck up to my knees. Ah, but how can I cry out? The answer is like air. Maybe the air is blue like the striking, sticky sky that I love, and am convinced that by looking upward, no harm will come to me. My mind flails its arms and flies upward somewhere to heaven.
Nice.
Fat roses, after reading classic images. Sparkle past the twilight, I thought I spoke to the hollow clouds a century ago. Now I know what's wrong with feathers. Few nubile fathers turn their plowsheds into baby buggies. Now I am my proud dead metaphors. I am very lost, struggling towards someone else's poem. Maybe Hollywood can contain the world. The stained overalls hanging in the sun, the indigo glass in the grass, lying in the sand on the planet metaphor, covered with sand, warm sand that always hears the poet's prayer. Mon Dieu, hear the sound of twilight. Sistina, 2011. Last love comes out from hiding. I sit and stare at the air. From North Beach to Rome, my words are plodding, and I avail myself at your feet. Yes, at the feet of the Body Cafe Trieste. We sit and watch the cars move up. Watch all the watches. Hiding my eyes to reality. Yes, reality. Body tales spring to valor, vain in name. From time to time we relate. Gates are open. Ah, hell. Hell is from your heart. You know where your heart is at. From the bottom, watch yourself. Patrons brooding. Are we alone at night? The stars hiding from the sun. The clouds are in the sky. The winds from nowhere. Body Russia, jubilant with vodka. Body and cursing with joy. Khrushchev, your commie hero, banging his shoes. Watch, wait, the stars are still hiding. Jupiter and Venus are still in Venice. From whence came nothing. Some things are worth saying. I say words are words. I think that as I think body grasses, but only a tear from my eyes is not a kiss of your lips. Phrases are like phases. Watch, waste time in sentences. Hiding in haste, talk and say nothing. Hiding in taverns and latrines. Fields are flushed in furtive furrows. Watch the clouds, we are spared today. Body weighs enough to play the fife. Your lips still clash with new men from psyche and are still faithful to body tasks. Water, sky, the blue your eyes are the way I say. Flower from.
Thank you for throwing. All right. For me?
For the table.
Oh, for the table. All right.
Where do you want me to sit?
Anywhere you please. Because this is, I'll watch you the feature. I'm leaving you around. Probably going to be able before. No, that's okay. You're good. If you weren't perfect, we wouldn't be able to say you're perfect.
I need somebody to get my bag out of the back here, so I can, that white bag.
Can you get her white bag out off the back thing? Yeah, let's get her get her something.
Yeah.
Do you want to sign in?
Yeah.
For the open mic? Okay, because we're in the midst of a.
Did
Come
I
around
drop
this way.
something? I heard something drop. Was that mine?
Yeah, I heard something fall on the floor. I'm not sure what it was.
Is that, let me move up.
No, she's on there already.
That was out.
I did hear something.
Okay, well, somebody else's then, I guess, maybe.
Okay, all right. I don't see
I got
anything
room.
else.
I got room right here if you want to come by.
Huh? Yeah. So, there you go. Okay. Sorry about this. They're getting all set.
I've already apologized.
Yeah. 20.
Okay, this week in Trumpland,
Oh my God. Sorry about that.
he calls everybody in the world a demeaning name. Little this, Pocahontas that. But if we reply to his insane remarks, to his gun running and continual acts of oppression and cruelty, that becomes harassment of the president and treasonous. Sorry, Donnie, but the Bill of Rights is there for a reason. And let's get one thing straight. Those cages you're running are concentration camps. And like any jail, corrupt and foully run. Detention, internment, concentration are all the same word, a smoke-driven screen. Who do you think you're fooling? Most of us have read George Orwell. Oh, and the public eye for a few moments is looking straight at your petty sadism. We interrupt this broadcast to throw open the doors at Clem, Texas. Bedding, clean clothes, toothpaste, showers, and medical aid needed. And little girls cry out for her mother from a jail without windows.
Yeah.
The theme is kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Recipe. Take a tube from a roll of toilet paper and close one end with duct tape. Now take a handful of words. Words unattended are prose. Pour them into the tube. Shake the tube vigorously. Don't bother looking in. The scramble will tell you nothing. But pour the words onto a page. If you're lucky, you've made a poem. Cool it for 15 minutes and serve to the masses, the unwary ear. Kaleidoscope. I know why they did it, the breaking up of form and taking their paintings outdoors. Seurat and pointillism. At the time it was necessary to escape the adoration scenes in the Pietas. Spin the kaleidoscope again, the artist reaches, excuse the pun, a point of resolution.
Okay.
The water near the great jet, the leap of the leisurely crowd, or more profound yet further south, the cylinder, the sphere, the cone, Mont Sainte Victoire at different hours, valley heat against the warm mountain.
Oh.
One more. Kaleidoscope, a tumbling of shards caught by light. I vowed never to freeze in abstraction. In my loneliness, wanting the words to reach you, fresh and separate, all of a piece.
All right. That brings us to Tommy. I will call the Mecca, I do believe. Tommy? Come around as he comes up here. Pardon my French.
They keep getting sick. Migrant babies, children still dying at your border. They keep getting gunned down by cops. Black and brown people still getting killed on your streets. They keep getting murdered. Trans women of color still beaten, still dead in your cities. Another migrant child, another black person, another brown person, another trans woman shot, dying, murdered, drowned, found dead every day. Are you proud of yourself, America? 2-year-old migrant child desperately clinging to her father, their bodies face down in the murky Rio Grande waters. A woman and 3 kids, 2 of them babies, overcome by heat in the merciless desert. These are the animals he rails about at rallies, the bad hombres infesting our country, the drug dealers, criminals, and rapists. A father trying to save his baby, a mother wanting a better life for her kids, victims of his dangerous rhetoric, whipped up hatred, manufactured crises, murdering politics. their blood forever on his hands.
Yeah.
And then to the theme, I take you back to South Philly, my teen years, the first time I ever saw a kaleidoscope. The kaleidoscope he was showing me, the first I had ever seen, falls from his hand and onto the bed where we're sitting. His face suddenly inching closer. His lips touch mine. We're not flesh, we're magnets. On the bureau, the incense cone crumbles. Nina Simone singing, I want more, 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 and then some. The room cascading into shadows. Something warm and wet slips through my lips. I feel a swelling in my pants. My hand slides inside his shirt and down his chest. I've been pulled under an ocean current. I'm not scared. He is. He jerks away, picks up his guitar, starts to play. He's straight. He's always made that clear. But he knows what happens here stays here. And finally, something that happened to me last weekend. To the young guy who leaned out of the passenger window of that old car and yelled, "Hey faggot, wanna suck my dick?" as I stood alone waiting for a bus the other night. You're a coward. Hit and run, your specialty. You aim the gun, fire, and don't wait to see whether it's a bull's eye to the heart or it just grazes the skin. Part of me is angry, another part amused. I've been through this many times before, in the schoolyard, in the streets. Guys like you are all words and no action, if you know what I mean. You're trying to prove something to yourself, to everyone who will listen. Public exorcism. It's wasted on me. I already know what you want. I only wish you did. Thank you.
Thank you, and we have now, Brett Benson.
Yeah.
Brett Benson, who was featured last week here. Then we got Martin, myself, cursive writer, and Don McLean. Yeah, Don McLean. He said he's going to be here. He promised me.
This first one's called Wedding Rings. Thousands of wedding rings sitting in a box, taken from those people who made vows to each other, but who weren't viewed as wholly human. They went to the camps, and no one ever saw them again. And then a picture started to circulate. You saw rosaries in the desert, but don't mistake yourself. Jesus isn't there right now. There's just humans degrading other humans. When will we get to the point where humanity is actually shown? So until someone actually proves that there is divinity in each person, don't mistake it. Humans will do whatever they can to others so long as they have what they perceive to be power. I sat in the classroom, and two of my students decided to get at me again. They said, "Hey Benson, do you know the earth is flat?" And I said, "What, like your head?" I'm tired of this crap, because 30 years ago, these people would have been isolated alone, telling themselves in circles again and again, the earth is flat, the earth is flat, the earth is flat. And so when I came at them, they said, "Oh yeah, Mr. Know-It-All? What do you know? How do you know that's true?" I said, "I know that your social skills are going down the tube because you're stuck on this screen all day long. I said I know that you might not understand the importance of your vote because you take it as a joke when you go there and says, it doesn't matter what box I click. I know that there are certain points when you listen to the music and the lyrics, but you're not really digesting how it goes against other people. I'm not trying to tell you what I do and don't know because I know that I'm a few years older than you, but I will say this. I can tell you that there are certain things that are provable and others that are just fantasy. If you want to really sit down and talk about this, come here after school, and in 10 minutes, I will break your paradigm. But if you aren't brave enough to do that, then next year, how are you going to go to university and have everything you challenged, everything you believe, be challenged, no matter what it is?
Hey.
This one's called Revisit. Last one. Some years later, Scrooge was sitting in his chair. He had had the revelation come to him in a dream, and he was looking, counting his money. But at this point, he actually got it, that his community frickin' mattered. Because if his community went down, he went down with it. Just like it was as if the Titanic. Once again, the second of the three ghosts appeared to him and said, "How you doing, Scrooge?" And he said, "Not so well. Because I'm realizing that this thing called capitalism, see, we might have to revamp it if we want to keep going. And by we keep going, I mean like any human civilization. Because the materialism that I once sought, it's running out, piece by piece by piece by piece." And the ghost looked at him and said, "Sure enough, so what are you going to do about it?" Scrooge looked down. He tried to think. His limited experience, though, in 19th century Britain wasn't all that worldly. But he said, "I don't know, but I'm going to try." And accepting it, that's the first step. Thank you.
All right. Martin Hickle, for goodness sakes. Give him a round of applause. He's up here. Then I'll go up next, and then we got the Curse of Writers.
Also the de rigueur, big thanks to Mr. Dan Brady for making this happen.
It's not my fault.
Every Wednesday, this religious gathering, this.
And Brady.
I believe in you, my soul. The other eye must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want. Not custom or lecture, not even the best. Only the lull I like, the hum of your valved voice. I mind how we lay in June, such a transparent summer morning. You settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me, and parted the shirt from my bosom bone and plunged your tongue to my bare strip heart.
Yeah.
And reached till you felt my beard, and reached till you held my feet. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace and joy and knowledge that pass all the art and argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the elder hand of my own. And I know that the Spirit of God is the eldest brother of my own. And that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers. And that a kelson of creation is love, and limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and mossy scabs of the worm fence, and heap stones, and elder and mullein and pokeweed. That was written, well, published anyway, in 1855, to give you some idea how much progress has been made, as in none. This is Walt Whitman. And there's going to be a late birthday party for him Saturday at 6 at the Dada Bar beneath the Mechanics Institute. And I'm and a whole bunch of other pretend Walt Whitmans are going to be reading the entire Leaves of Grass from which that excerpt is taken.
Is he still alive?
And I was going to read the first 3 chapters like that, but you know, hearing what has already come up, I just had to read that one instead.
What was the date of that?
1855 was when he published the first edition, which is what this is. He spent the rest of his life lousing it up. If ever there was a case of someone who could have been really immortal if he just died sooner, I tell people if you hit it big, get killed or have an accident or something, because you'll be a god, But if you live a long time like Bob Dylan, you'll suck.
What's the date of the reading?
Oh, the day of the reading.
Yes.
Saturday at 6 p.m., the 29th. Thank you. Okay, and then because of Tommy's thing, and because it is the news, cross the river. And if the handle is high, let me open the door. Let you open it for me once you can reach it. If the rain falls hard, let me take off my coat. Let me see what you need without asking. If the road gets long, let me keep you going. Let me rest your head when you need to sleep. If you want to sit, let me hold your cup. Let me rub your feet until it's time to leave. If the water is deep, let me carry you across. Let me swim out to save you, so we both drown. You laugh at that? I think that's funny. I don't know what to say.
Read another poem.
One more. A polemic, not really a poem. Capitalism equals war, or there would be none of either. Profit the only goal, like anything to do with business. People die because someone is getting paid. And of all the things to be paid for, killing pays the best, murder most expensive, most return on investment. Of all the reasons offered for stealing taxes and making weapons, for oil to carry them the world over, for laying waste to cities and farmlands, for tearing flesh and digging graves, assertions of rights and fairness, excuses about democracy and freedom, lies about bringing fair trade. Private property is the only fucking thing that matters. Without money, wars cannot be waged.
Now we can make sure that this thing is arranged properly.
Well, you come to me now, and I'm going to talk like this for a minute until he gets that organized and I get my papers in my hand. I'm sorry. I'll never do that again.
We're also sorry.
Only email.
Only I know. Only my hairdresser knows for sure. All right. Okay. Let me just make sure I have both of these here. So the theme, kaleidoscope. And if you know those things, you look through them and you see the little bits of plastic or glass. Well, these 2 poems each represent one of the little bits that you might see in this particular kaleidoscope. And sometimes I say, I'm sorry to be reading these, but I'm a poet and I'm alive these days, and this is what happens. They are related, actually, and they were written months apart, but they're right next to each other, so I'm going to read them both. Here we go. Why are they killed? It's a simple question, really. And today, at this tiny moment...
Oh, can you stop that?
I'll start again. I know. Okay. Start again. Why are they killed? It's a simple question, really, and today, at this tiny moment, I direct it at the Saudi government. But as you'll soon surmise, there are many others holding on to the short end of this shit stick. I ask the men there, why is it okay to kill their own mothers, sisters, daughters, or lovers for phoning, texting, driving, enjoying the sun on their faces, talking with a friend, for dreaming of a life made up of their preferences, their choices. What does having a sense of humor, laughing beautifully, or wanting the simple things in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have to do with brutal assaults, murderous battery, rape, slavery, or an acid slap? What is it about family honor? Why, when we hear of their moaning or mournful imprecations, do we not call their men out? How is it we recuse ourselves and do not ride to their rescue? Is it because of their hijab? Where are the white hats? Yes, all they want are simple things: freedom of the mind, justice for the soul, and unlimited peace in their feeling, emotional hearts. When will we reach out our hands? When will we answer our own big heart's unending call for love? Inquiring minds want to know. In supplication, I proffer these considerations, these notes to everyone I know. Amen.
Thank you.
And now you will see the relationship between this and that in a moment. The poem is called Heather. Heather is a plant, something common enough but useful, even valued for healing, cleansing, refreshing one's living space. Something to be found in the cold wastes of winter, forage that shows itself above the frigid drifts and so provides a lifeline to those in need. It takes hold in difficult ground, survives fire, thriving in its aftermath. But it is also a name which, as any name does, affects its human, imbuing them with its qualities, whether the human knows it or not. It is sentimental, for example, white heather being given for bridal luck. And so it is in Miss Hyer's case that her name proved itself in her feet when she walked the walk that day, but innocently for all that, she did not see it coming, even at the very last. And when, as she lay broken, her passion spreading on display, but not in pain, having gone on before such could register, it was because all her life she'd found ways to make a difference for others. And so it was that by leaving this world as she did, she continued on that path for others in a way she could respect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, now the free radical is going to, oh, he's not?
No, I'm just shaking my head.
I thought you were giving me an indication of something was going. Thank you so much. And give him a round of applause as he comes up here. Yeah, the cursive writer. Oh, cursive writer, sorry about that. Hey, I'm making mistakes up here. All right, let me arrange the arrangements here so he's arranged in his arrangeful arrangements. There we go.
Where you were hiding.
Yeah, he goes back there. He's shiny. All right.
Shiny, happy people.
Shiny.
Woo!
Holding hands.
All right, I got two things to say. Just because you steal something doesn't mean you own it. This is still Indian country.
Hey.
And you live on Albany land.
Yes, indeed.
The second thing I want to say, there's no Vietnam War, there's no Afghan War, there's no Iraq War, there's no Yemen War, or any other wars. They're called the American Wars. Or as I say, the USAN Wars.
USAN, American.
All right, America divided. This empire, divided since birth, got worse during USA's war on civil rights, wars in Vietnam, AIDS. May it never come back together. It deserves to be torn asunder. This house, as it now stands, merits the fall. High crimes and misdemeanors of a nation where Nuremberg trials need to be held. Charges brought against empire for the murdering of human beings, not because they attack us, but simply for who they are and the possession things the empire eats. For breaking treaties with indigenous, including those made with its own citizens. Empire needs its belly full as it rapes, kills, feeding on the bloodlust for riches. This is an empire one should love. Whores for the Saudis, where we do the bidding for theirs and our appetites. If a house divided doesn't stand, we should hear the cracking soon, as we head for another fallen empire. For the moment, before walls tumble, USA wins. It has more assholes and asshole alliances, though some having doubts. Remember this, the one with the most assholes wins.
Well,
things are better. Britt, this is for Britt, he was here that night. Things are better. Things better now more than ever before. If things are better now than ever before, say for who? Where are you measuring this from? And yes, really, this is the best we can do. When in fact it is an extreme minority of our world that it has this good. What are you going to tell the people on Pine Ridge, Rosebud, or any reservation in USA, or refugee camps, or mother skins, or the massive exoduses of people on display around her? For some in certain money stratas, things are good, maybe even better than ever before. The spoiled ones don't know it, that they think the world that they're looking good. With blinders flapping in the wind, we're never seeing anything fully, clearly. We're looking good, you say. Purging ugly action behavior will be difficult to do away with. Just too many having fun at being ugly. Nightborn. Nightborn moon looks and moves away. Sky shakes, sees Homo sapiens acting, believing they're superior to all life forms. Sun seems angry, disappears. Earth in great pain as nuclear bombs explode. Mines close, played out, leak toxic heavy metals, wiping out flora, fauna, whatever it touches, running into watersheds. Homo sapiens drink. Can't figure out what's causing all these new diseases seen in our lifetimes. Talk to elders, scientists who aren't working for someone else's agenda, only a human agenda. Fine, and they will tell you they don't remember ever these high rates of cancer, peanut nut allergies, autism. Night born in minds, darkened as in thoughts, hearts that sell humanity for cheap, cheaper the resources, the better. Let workers work, poor, breathe, unseen, polluted, foul air, along with polluted water, land. After all, they're poor, unworthy of the lives of the rich. While some working classes believe they could continue to become rich in USA, support laws that protect the rich, lowering taxes, thinking that they will help them when they get rich, where they pay less taxes. Some actually believe, but all that happens is working poor get trickled on. trickle, trickle, trickle. Yeah, night born, no age of enlightenment here. Will darkness ever, will darkness ever, as our universe expands, forever drawing the circle larger and becomes darker.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Person writers. All right, so I'm going to introduce you.
Inco.
All right.
No, that's on.
Can you adjust this again, just so I can?
You did you gonna do something?
No, you're good. You're good. So I just move this like this and make sure that you're not in the frame.
Oh.
That's good. See,
You don't want me in the
sometimes
frame?
it's like this. And
You don't want me in the frame? You don't think I'm good enough to be in the frame?
You know what? You're not good enough for it, buddy.
I like you. I like that guy.
You've
All
never
right.
been good enough. Don't you know that?
Okay, so am I good?
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, I don't know if you felt the seismic change or seismic. How do you say it? Seismic?
Seismic.
Seismic. I felt the seismic change when a certain individual rolled in here, tilting the earth. And you'll know that when I do my introductions, I usually wax poetic and complimentary to the point of flooding. Well, I wrote something special for her. So you can just relax, sit back, and everybody else will be trying to catch up with the sonic boom here. There's a little piece called Avacha, What Does One Say? What does one say about a force of nature, a heart as big as hyperbole may allow, a synonym for love and respect, or one who has worked the long, hard rows from can't see to can't see? How does one describe her as a human being, a soul dedicated to expressing the eternal, a keeper of the flame, a harbor of wisdom, or someone who metes out justice via the word? What wishes brought her into this world, at this time, to this place, where in this very intimate now, we are fortunate enough to be? What can you say of a witness whose heart will testify before the muse, the all-encompassing universe, God, however one names it, here before us, and so before all mankind, and on the record? How to introduce someone whose deep sense of humor and yearning for justice has her rail on offenders by name, chastising them in a manner fit to entertain the gods? Who has the music of the voice of music, who will hold forth here tonight with but one intent, unifying all her efforts, one idea, one plan, one vision, speaking her truth so simply as to get it across one more time. Now, we, she and I, are relatives. You may not know that. Relatively speaking, and while I don't speak relative, I must make do with what my mom used to call the King's English. Use the King's English, Danny. I find I've gone, but here at this point, I just got to say, I have to mention my mom in there one more time. I find I've gone far too long, as you might say. Will you ever just stop? And I must leave off this praiseworthy effort at praise. Why should we wait another moment before hearing a voice whose echoes strain the infinite, breach the eternal, and does so lovingly all within the precious body of our own hearts? Avacha, you're on. Come on up, give her a round. Come on, let's go. That poem should have been good enough for applause, but you got her on top of that. So come on.
Yeah, we're gonna rearrange everything here.
You're
So
gonna make me cry.
well, you know, those are jewels then.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
All right, so then I'll get you arranged. Okay, there you go. When you're
Yes, it's okay. So don't move that. I'll move it right.
there's a cord. There's a cord.
Uh-oh.
There you go. All right. And you want the mic?
No. Please, I want to understand.
Okay.
Let me do this. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Let me just.
I can't see the clock. The light is on the clock. So when I've got about 5 minutes, well, 7 or 8
Yeah.
minutes to go.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I'll give you a
No.
signal
Wait, put it over here. Thank you.
like that. Okay. You're there you
What
go.
is happening here?
Your footrests were falling down, so I pushed them back up.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I mean, I'm almost ready to cry. That was too much. And you know, what can I say? I love him madly, and several people in this room. I do a poetry series. In fact, I'll get somebody to pass these out. It's known as the oldest, longest bilingual series in the East Bay, except that it should really be called a multilingual series. We've had over 20 different languages, and there's always going to be at least one bilingual person on the bill, because it's time to cut the crap and stop this BS that we have and start listening to each other. We've had everything as diverse as Hebrew, Arabic, Farsi, Gaelic, Chinese, 3 different Chinese languages, several different Native American languages, several African languages, and we're still working on it. So please visit us if you can and have fun with us. And also you might learn something about some folks that you don't know about, because some great folks come through. Okay, enough of that. This first one is called I Cry Creativity, and I was asleep, secure and comfortably asleep, dreaming of peace and love, hypnotized by a mirage of unity and togetherness, dancing away demons of war and hate in what I thought was the land of the plenty, in what I've been taught was the land of the free. Then I opened my eyes, was slapped in the face by a wide-awake nightmare, a senseless suicidal madness, a world of selfishness, an insatiable gluttony and rampant homelessness, created by short-sighted masters of fantasy so used to dealing from their own deck of unfulfillable promises that they can no longer feel anything real. I opened my eyes and found myself sadly looking at those who were empty inside and seemed to think they can fill their emptiness with all kinds of pretty things and tons of money and more and more and more and more money and the newest and prettiest things, and all I could do was cry. Cry for those blindly drunk on greed as I write, and smile as another poem is born, a poem about all the beauty the greedy can no longer see. I believe if we artists could only bottle our tears, no one would ever die of thirst. World, one note at a time.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Johanna, who was the one that held us together for many years before we use this rain stick, which I don't see how I'm going to do with this. I'm going to do it, but thanks for the offer. This is called Listen to the Rain.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the rainforest in Puerto Rico. There was a rainforest, a small rainforest in Puerto Rico called El Yunque. Maria completely knocked it down and turned it into splinters. When I saw that, I almost had a nervous breakdown, but we'll get back to that in a minute. But so this is about El Yunque and rainforests in general, because folks need to wake up and smell the coffee. I mean, folks, I'm running my mouth, and we've all run our mouths. Every minute we do it, some suckers knock down another 100 acres of rainforest somewhere in the world, which is no big thing unless you need to breathe. Because those rainforests globally are producing 70% of the oxygen that we need, 90% of the medicines that we need, and all kinds of other goodies. So anything you can do to stop it, please do. It's called Listen to the Rain. El Yunque, jardín de esperanza donde vive el alma boricua, el alma de la perla del Caribe. El señor gringo, he always listens but never stops, never hears the music of El Yunque. Too busy, always rushing, running, taking, breaking, always taking, but never taking time enough to listen to the rain, to hear her sacred song, to feel the magic, the magic. El Yunque gritando. Tourist trap, more than just one more romantic locale with more great potential for the cultural expansion of McDonald's bulletproof hamburgers. Boricua. Have you ever stopped and listened to the rain, the magic? El Yunque sagrado, oración de la lluvia, el corazón de la tierra, pesadilla de los Yankees. Listen, listen, Boricua, listen to the rain. El Yunque is a fertility dance. It's Borinquen's poem of power. Don Pedro, Doña Lolita, Don Juan Antonio tried to make you hear, tried to make you feel strong enough to live for a tree and maybe even die to be free. Did you hear them? The magic, El Yunque. sombra del escondido renacimiento del sueño borincano. Listen, Boricua. Listen to the rain that'll whisper in your ears, that'll shower you with pride, that'll overwhelm you with her beauty. Let her lead you to the magic. El Yunque is nature's declaration of independence. Let the rhythm of the rain burn like fire in your blood. Have you ever really listened to the rain? Listen, Boricua, listen to the rain. Ay, el sonido musical de la lluvia, mi Borinquen. Have you ever stopped and listened to the rain? Listen, Boricua, listen to the rain, listen.
Wow.
Thank you. Needless, that was written when rain was a good thing. But you see what's happening now. In fact, somebody told me, well, don't worry about it because it will grow back. Yeah, it will. You know how many millions of years it takes to grow a rainforest. But anyway, when people started getting the pictures of what actually happened and there's Yunque being reduced to splinters, I almost had a nervous breakdown. And fortunately, my friend George called and snapped me out of it. And all I could do was write this when I saw those pictures. So this is called A Simple Freedom, or Was It Just a Dream? Because these things that are happening, by the way, you see, hurricanes are natural. Most of you don't know that. They're natural. It's no big thing. When we go there, and my father would bring us, and we'd go in the summertime, hang out in the Caribbean. There'd be a hurricane. Oh, that's a good time. We have a party. Yeah. No. What's happening now is not natural. They just had a tornado in Cuba. That's not natural. When it's supposed to be cold in New York and hot here, it was hot in New York. It was cold here. That's not natural. Simple freedom, or was it just a dream? Once upon a time when the world was green, when this earth was heaven, the trees used to sing to us and we sang their praises, danced in honor of their beauty, and reveled in the millions of gifts they gave us. Life was a simple but complicated symphony when lovesick leaves sang in romance-hungry wind spirits. And clouds pregnant with the promise of tomorrow kept us drunk on the sweet wine of her rains. Then came the invasion. Wood-eating devils that make termites look like angels, the lakes, the streams, the green, all gone. Forest of dreams destroyed, the simple beauty of millions of yesterdays eaten by greed and lifelessly regurgitated into the ravaged soil as echoes of green dance and cry in the shadows of what once was. Tree spirits hidden behind ancestral tombstones that seedless offspring roam thirsty deserts beside invisible uprooted generations, trying to remember days when nature reigned and all her green gave the world oxygen to breathe and got the world drunk on the fruit of their love. Days when trees romanced the clouds and rain was the wine of heaven. Now their ghosts silently scream wide awake nightmares, restless spirits hidden in the sands of a long ago time, a time before they came. Like an atonal swarm of hungry locusts, suicidal wood-eating demons that looked like angels but took joy in the devastation of uprooted generations, in the destruction of sacred medicinal flowers that once perfumed the air and now the lakes, the streams, the green, all gone. In their place grow tearful memories, crying echoes dancing in the weeds with hurricanes and earthquakes. Shadows of days when this earth was heaven, when happiness was being able to safely lie in the grass and just breathe and be serenaded by a chorus of singing frogs and birds. It was a simple, priceless freedom. Or was it just a dream? Once upon a time when the world was green. Oh.
Yeah.
If you are not tired with me, on Sunday there's a CD release party. I work with my band, but this is another band I work with, the Electric Squeezebox Orchestra, which is a 17-piece big band, a jazz big band, awesome. And we got a CD coming out, not just with me as a guest in there. And I've got 3 pieces, including the one I'm going to do. Also, Madeline Eastman, Kenny Washington, Khalil, Wilson, who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Sandy Cressman. But it's going to happen at the California Jazz Conservatory, 5 o'clock. And if you want to get to that, you better buy tickets because it's going to sell out. So this is called Soundly Metaphysical. The stereotype, all of us artists are supposed to be a bunch of lazy dope fiends and drunks. And because I wanted to be a good artist, I became both. But I've been clean now 48 years. And so I get high on music and poetry and all that kind of stuff. And One day we had a gig and this guy comes up to me after the gig because he really liked our music and stuff. He said he really loved it and he knows that with what we were doing and setting up on that stage, I must know where some good dope is. I don't believe in violence, so I wrote a poem and it's called Soundly Metaphysical. My music is an orgasmic synonym for all that is real and organic, vibrational healing, a sanctified tone, poem ideal in sound. Call me a metaphysician, a doctor of sound. Another edition on the latter tradition, another one of those trying to be spiritual music nuts, pushing 100% natural medicine, melodic medicine, non-toxic cures from B flat to high C. I got a Music Jones that won't let go. It's a heavy gift, the Zora Neale Hurston, Jose Montoya word song, a gift to lift us, a heavy intoxicant, a healthy intoxicant that's all stronger than drugs, an ever-expanding ritual fix that's everywhere all the time. Music is a song that sings me, that flows through me, the song that is me. Music is the funk in the Joe Cooper tune, Duke Ellington's Mistress, the bee that bites, and Betty Carter's bop, the blood in my veins. Poetic music is the air I breathe, the heart of every dream I dream. Sound so strong I can see it. Can you hear it, feel it? I gotta know if you ever even noticed it. Music's calling and calling and calling, cause always talking, calling you calmly, inviting you essentially as a caress, holding you warmly, hauntingly, just desperately. Desperately, I said desperately like a scream. Music is a unifier, the one sure thing that brings this world together, the only universal language. Music is a brazenly unrepentant flirt, comes speaking sweetly, talking season, and talking jive, swinging in every idiom that's ever been, a language so strong even the deaf can taste it. Are you listening? It's begging you to hear. It's begging you to heal. Music, and the music of the word is medicine. A poetic musician is a traditional healer, and I'm a dealer. A metaphysician who deals in sound. Medicinal sound. And that's the only high I'm pushing it. And right now I feel the healing coming on. Anybody out there want some?
Yeah!
How much more time do I have?
You're at like 9.
9 minutes? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Then in that case, this is, huh?
I said in that case.
This is a thing. As a musician, I've been playing music since I was 4 years old. And as a musician, what happens is you come home, work 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. There's always, I don't care what city, what country, there's always some 9, 10, and 11-year-old kids who are out in the street. And people who are not wrapped too tight make fun of these kids. But they're out in the street not because of wanting to be out in the street. Something horrible has happened to these kids. And because they're out in the street and hungry, they're dangerous. And so where I was living, I come home with a bunch of instruments and stuff, and I knew I was a walking mark. And so I wrote them a love poem. And basically, I just wanted to win them over. And it worked, because a month after I wrote it, it was in all the street newspapers, and the kids from street poets, not street poets, Youth Speaks, and some other kids were doing it all over the place. I got off the board downtown. This cute little chubby Chinese girl ran up to me and threw her arms around me and said, "Grandma!" And I thought she had lost her mind until she blew my mind and changed my life. She said something that blew me away. She says, "Thank you, nobody ever talks to us." I'm going to say that again because some of you have forgotten. These are your children. Thank you, nobody ever talks to us. It's not going to hurt you to talk to them. She also knew this poem. I wrote it, I had not memorized it. It's in English, Spanish, and Spanglish, and she knew it word for word, every word of it. And she read it to me out of her memory. So I'm going to read it for you. It's called Street Children of the Night, para los chiquititos de la noche en cualquier lugar. Black and brown children of the night que ya no saben nada de jugar, mi niñito de la calle. Queridos jovencitos whose ideas having fun got swallowed by the darkness. If I could, I would wrap you in sunshine. I would hold you close and fold you in these arms and caress whatever's left of the child in you with lullabies. I would like to cover every interview with home-cooked self-esteem and deseo bacantes. I want to fill the hole that hurt dug. Take my hand and I swim deliberately and defiantly through the fires I held for you and with you through the movement of disrespect. I'm a hard-headed kind of lady and I just can't see myself giving up on you. Somos lo que somos, you and I, para nosotros somos todo lo que hay. We are fused together by history, por lo bonito, los sueños robados, locked spiritually in the maze of our destiny, oye. mis negritos, mis pequeños callejeros, los necesito. The truth is, I know I need you, y yo sin ti soy nada. And if I had a chance, I'd refuse to turn you loose till you were so in love with yourself that self-destruction would disintegrate under the pressure of your presence, and you were so secure in my love for you, and so sure of the splendor you had become, that even the sun would lay aside its arrogance just to get a chance to reflect the brilliance of your essence and bask in the bold truth of your integrity in ti. Vive la verdad real, yo sin ti no existe ni un sendero de la esperanza, o sé que le sigo, my beautiful wild lotus flowers. If I could, I'd bathe you in a sea of rose water. I'd convert your waves of pain into an ocean of pride and faith. Y yo te pido, dame un chance, please, please, please let me in. I promise to do the very best I can, even if I have to wake the dead and conjure up our ancestors' breath. I'm not too proud to act a fool, get down on my knees and holler and scream and beg all the spirits of goodness to intervene, to blow away the fog of dismay and distrust, pacificar tus lágrimas, and dissipate the rage burning behind your eyes, so together we could wash away the centuries of emasculating doubt and defeminizing lies. Then have a little fun and learn to play a brand new game, cool, demolishing self-hate, demolishing walls of self-hate. Children of the night, mis niñitos de la calle. I want the stubbornness of my love to help me and help you turn on all the lights inside your soul. Tú eres mi sangre. I will not allow the streets of any city to steal you. You like a lotus blossoming in the night, mis queriditas alma de mi existencia. I will not let the cesspool of Fulinga make a fast food happy meal of your dreams. Chiquito de la esquina, you are our only wealth, you are the most beautiful part of me, and I'm not about to let you go. I will not permit the hungry stupidity of greed to feed you to the street without giving up a fight. Amorcito pedido de la noche, if I could, I would pave your path with stardust and massage your mind with a steady diet, just how important you are. Make sure you know you're too damn important that the world just throw you away. It's my job to remind you on a daily basis this crazy old lady is here to stay. I'm still here. I say I'm still here staying and praying and praying and staying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. You let me in, mi cielito negritito de la noche. I'm talking to you. Can you even hear me? It's all tomorrows that you're throwing away. Queridos niñitos de la calle. I'm still waiting, a stubborn old lady with a heart full of love, standing in the shadows and waiting on who you could be. Waiting for you to finally see me, waiting to wrap you in a blanket of sunshine. I got one last one I want to do for you. I want to thank you for your in this book, and there's a bunch of people who are in this room who are in this book. If you don't have this book, you have to get this book. Civil Liberties United. We've got a party coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have to get this book. And I'm really honored to be in this book. So one of my poems is in there. I've got 3 poems. I'm very lucky to have 3 poems in here. But where is it? Okay. I wrote this one November the 9th, a couple of years ago. That day, I thought I was just a crazy, paranoid old lady, that this creature would never get into this position he's in. I can't say his name. Somebody else said it earlier, so I can't do it. It will disturb the meal I'm going to be ready to eat in a minute. But I woke up and found out he had won the election, and all my worst nightmares had come true. And I couldn't do anything, so the rest of the day I just sat there and wrote this poem. And I think it's important to remember that we've been here before. And at least if you look like me, you've been here before. It's called I Know We Can. At the end, I want you to help me with this. We have been here before. We sang in the face of the clean and danced with feet all bloody on the decks of slave ships, on the longest walk, on freedom marches and jail cells and concentration camps, ghettos that we're supposed to call our home. We know this place, concrete jungles, the reservations are cursed of and by the uncivilized who have forgotten the healing beauty of grass and trees and the gift of clean water to drink, and have lost their ability to love. We are familiar with the senseless mayhem of perpetual war, the addictive lust for power, the intoxication of bloodlust, and those who prefer the inhumane sacrifice of their souls as they try to steal ours, yes. We have been here before. We know the hanging tree, the rope, the rape of our bodies, our cultures, the theft of our songs and our children. We have swam through the slime of misogyny. We've been here, we know. Racism, greed, and stupidity have no conscience, and it's only a matter of time before the insatiable self-destruct. before they devour each other. We've been through it all before, and we can get through it all again. We just have to be careful, very, very, very careful. The madness of this narcotic is contagious. We must not get drunk on the stench of this poison. We have too much work to do. We must turn this suicidal drug into fertilizer and let our tears fall down on deserts, glaciers, and jungles, and run down the faces of good-hearted people everywhere. I cry and 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 I cry. And my tears come down like a waterfall, an unending waterfall for all the victims of civilization. We have been here before, and together we can heal. I know we can. Can you say it?
I know we can.
I can't hear it. Come on.
I know we can.
I know we
can.
Thank you so much for your ears, and support each other and hang on to each other, because it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better.
All right, that's about to give her a nice round. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! I'll move that out of your way. There you go. You're good. Woo!
If you're not tired of me, tomorrow night I'll be at Moab at 5 o'clock, so come on out.
All right. See her about those and talk to this person, a person of note, merit, history, and value.
Food.
All right.
Before I put barbecue sauce on the youngest person I see in the room.
Okay.